Welcome to BioNTX Presents Inside Innovation, the flagship podcast from BioNTX, where we explore the pulse, potential, and people driving our region's thriving life sciences and biotech ecosystem. I am your host, Eric B. Moore, Chief Communications Officer of BioNTX. Today we're featuring the University of Texas at Arlington, a university that has become one of the most dynamic anchors in our ecosystem. From advanced research and commercialization to cultivating the next generation of innovators, UTA is helping redefine how universities shape the future of biotechnology, entrepreneurship, and workforce development in North Texas. Joining me today are Paul Corson, Chief Innovation and Entrepreneurship Officer, and Jon Weidanz, Senior Associate Vice President for Research and Innovation. Two leaders who are helping transform UTA's vision for innovation into the future. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. It is so glad to have you.
Good to be here.
So glad to have you. So glad to have you. Yes, of course. So we'll get this thing started here. Today's a great day, man. I've been looking forward to this for some time. We've been on Zoom calls, we've been at events, but now we're on Inside Innovation. Right. So today's our day. And so, Paul, I'll start with you on the topic of from discovery to commercialization. UTA has long been recognized for its depth of research, but increasingly it is also being recognized for translating that research into real-world impact. How would you describe UTA's evolving vision for commercialization and entrepreneurship, and what are some of the most exciting opportunities you see emerging from this new chapter?
Thank you, Eric, very much, and it's great to be with you and Jon on the podcast. I got to UTA about 2 years ago, and my view was that we had an opportunity to change the conversation away from the traditional model of tech transfer and to a new approach. We call it innovation management. And moving away from just the words, I would argue that while the United States has seen great and incredible progress from a innovative and a technological and a research, all of those worlds, we have also seen incredible missed opportunity. There's an opportunity cost to the approach of most traditional tech transfer operations, which is that the research is done in a vacuum. It's handed off in a transaction almost to the tech transfer office. They think about protection, and then they think about who can they get to pay them to license a patent.
Yes.
That's a reactionary transactional approach that doesn't really adhere to the modern approach that we teach entrepreneurs, which is go find your customer and ask them what they want. And so the concepts around innovation management are simply, who is our customer? If our product is a patent, a copyright, a trademark, a know-how, trade secret, if it's some kind of intellectual property, our customer is whoever pays us to use that IP.
Yes.
There are lots and lots of stakeholders in that process, but if we think of it more from an entrepreneurial mindset, creating value for others, and who then compensates us for that value, we have to start with industry, the entrepreneur, the investor. And so for 2 years, we've been really trying to push this concept of Jon's doing great work in the lab. Is that customer informed? Is it customer engaged? Is it customer directed? How can we ensure, if we want the commercial outcome, and that is a big capital IF, right? It's not always about the commercial outcome, but if we want that commercial outcome, we've got to create a product, research, technology, some sort of innovation that a customer would want, that somebody would take from us. And so we start not with the disclosure, we start with the market opportunity. And then we try and think, if there's a market opportunity, how do we use the protection of the intellectual property as one tool in the commercialization pathway, the tech development pathway, the fundraising pathway, the startup management team pathway? All of those things lend themselves to that commercialization pathway, to the point when we can do a license and focus on getting product into the market.
I love that. You use the term collaboration, you use the term market-centric, and all of those things. I started my career in traditional advertising and marketing. I used to be a madman, as they say. And we always started with the customer in mind and worked our way back. Are we creating a product? Are we creating messaging that is relevant and has resonance to that particular audience? So I love the fact that idea and that concept is being integrated into our space, and I'm confident that it will build and create dividends at the end of the day.
And just one clarifier, not everything has to be commercialized. There is a role for basic research. There is a role for science for the benefit of society. Not everything is a transaction about money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Agreed.
Science is a beautiful thing. Technology is a beautiful thing. My job just happens to be, how do we have market impact? How do we maximize societal benefit?
Yes.
But I'm not saying that all things have to go or lead through that mindset.
Sometimes the value is simply in the journey itself.
Yes.
Sometimes the value is simply in the journey itself. So that foundation of innovation sets the stage perfectly to talk about the two people before me that are helping drive it. So this section, we're going to talk about personal pathways and passion. And Jon, I'll start with you. Before we go deeper into the institutional work, I want to take a moment to talk about each of you personally. The motivations. Who is Paul? Who is Jon? What motivates and what drives you? And so what is it most about your current role that excites you? And how has that journey, whether through academia, research, or entrepreneurship, shaped how you approach the work that you're doing today at UTA?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Eric, it's great to be here today with you and Paul. Let me start by saying I have a really great job right now. I serve as you said, as the Senior Associate Vice President for Research and Innovation at UTA, but I'm also the founding director of the Institute of Biomanufacturing and Precision Medicine for North Texas, otherwise known as Imprint. And we have the opportunity now at UTA to really lead in an area of biomanufacturing. And under biomanufacturing, I really consider sort of three key areas. One is really the drug development pipeline. So we're establishing that capability at UTA. And then looking at ways to better deliver drugs so that they're more efficient, less toxic. And then obviously, how do we scale the production of those drugs? And then on the other side, precision medicine, UTA has a long history of doing excellent work, research in biomedical science area, but we're now really sort of laser focused on how do we move the field of precision medicine, precision health forward, and we're doing this through strategic collaborations with a number of healthcare institutions in our region, and also looking beyond the North Texas region to be really a leader in developing, using the technology of today, the genomics, the multi-omics technologies that we call them, and using that information to have a better impact on patient care. And so I'm very fortunate to be in a leadership role, play that, lead the university in this really new initiative, and also lead the region on the biomanufacturing piece. But to get to where I'm at today, it's been, you can tell by some of the gray hair I have, it's been a journey.
You weren't thinking about that when you were watching Scooby-Doo?
With Scooby-Doo, yeah. One of my favorites,
Scooby-Doo, here we go.
Here we go, yeah. I was very much influenced. Actually, growing up, my father was an immunologist.
Oh, nice.
And taught at a university and did some great research. And so I had exposure at a young age. But in college, I got the bug of not just being a scientist, but also understanding the business of science, if you will. And that led to then my graduate training at the University of Alabama in Birmingham, where I got exposed to not just great research and great researchers, but also had exposure to a business degree and other people who were starting biotech companies at that time. And that really set me up for a career of doing the science, being a researcher, but also being an entrepreneur. And it really just sort of it was contagious. I mean, once I caught that bug, I began to learn more and more about how to form a biotech company, how to build that value. And so I had the success of building 4 biotech companies in my lifetime, and had the last one that was acquired 4 years ago by Boehringer Ingelheim. That company was Bexa Biologics, and so I've been able to kind of experience all those things throughout my journey, and really sets me up today to be a key leader at UTA, driving innovation in the area of biomanufacturing and precision medicine.
That is awesome, Jon. And ever since I've known you, there's a certain glow that you have, and I can tell that when someone's working within their purpose, you can see it. And I've always seen that in you, and I know UTA will benefit tremendously from that. So, Paul, same question to you. What is it about your current role that excites you the most, and how has your journey shapes how you approach your work that you're doing at UTA as well?
So right now, I am really focused on how I try and ensure that the world that our generation leaves to our children, our grandchildren, our descendants is better than how we found it or how it exists now.
Yes.
So I'm really focused on creating economic opportunity and in trying to do whatever I can to help solve, whether it's technological challenge, health challenge, climate challenge, food challenge, whatever it is. How is something that I work on going to make the world that my daughter inhabits less dangerous, scary, whatever, better? And the path I took to get here is basically I walked through whatever door was open, or that when I pushed against it, it would go open.
That is such a Paul thing. That is such a Paul thing.
There was nothing methodical or planned about it. People know I went to college thinking I would major in physics. Got beat down by relativity sophomore year, and was studying Russian and got a scholarship to go to the Soviet Union. And so I would say that was very instrumental in helping me get where I got now, because the mindset in the Soviet Union, and then when I worked in Armenia, Georgia, Uzbekistan, some of the post-Soviet countries, it was all about both a survival mentality,
yes,
and an opportunity identification and exploitation mindset. There wasn't a choice to say we don't have water, so we'll never use water. It was, how do we figure out how to get, store, use water? Right. It was never, I don't have a vehicle, so I can't get somewhere. And so that mindset, a friend of mine, Gary Schoeniger, often talks about the entrepreneurial mindset is the pursuit of opportunity that creates value for others. And so how could I figure out how to pursue what it was that interested me, but in some way figure out how to get someone else to value it so that I could continue on my journey? I think right now I'm very lucky that UTA has invested in innovation, in research, in becoming AAU caliber type institution, and the work that Jon and I are doing is just part of the pathway to get there.
Yeah, there's some great things going on at UTA, and you can sense it and you can feel it. What you talked about, I often, Paul, tell people that I am a servant leader. Whatever leadership role that I have, I do it to serve. And listening to you, I like the term selfless leadership. right? It's not necessarily about me. It's about those who come after me. It's about the impact that I can make. So thank you so much for that. And that's what Inside Innovation is about. It's about the technology. It's about the commercialization, but it's about the people behind the scenes. So those motivations, personal motivations, gentlemen, really shine light and give texture to the kind of leadership that is driving innovation at UTA. And Jon, that naturally connects to something broader, the university's role as a catalyst within the entire ecosystem here of North Texas. So with that, we'll transition to another section, the university as an ecosystem catalyst. Jon, one of the most powerful shifts we're seeing in North Texas is the growing integration between academia, industry, and investors. You mentioned investors a little bit earlier in your comments, what is often called the innovation corridor. How do you view UTA's role as a catalyst within that larger ecosystem, and what does meaningful collaboration between universities and the industry look like in practice?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, obviously the university plays a significant role in creating that ecosystem. And you know, one way in which we do it is obviously through our instructional programs, our training, workforce development. And so, for example, with Imprint, we are teaming up. We've teamed up with Texas A&M's experimental engineering experiment station, TEAS, to collaborate on a project here at Pegasus Park over in Bridge Labs, where we'll be very soon having programming to train the workforce for biomanufacturing companies to hire. And so that's one way in which we're playing a significant role. Other ways are, of course, the types of research programs that we have that exist today at UTA, and also some of the future programs that we're building. I think a lot of people, including those obviously outside of UTA and industry, really don't know all the significant changes that have happened at UTA in terms of our investment in the biomedical life science research programs. For example, just a year ago, we invested in a 3 Tesla magnetic resonance imaging system, which for a general academic campus is a big deal to have that available to do research. That instrument has actually brought us very close in forming a collaboration with Cook Children's, in that some of their researchers are now accessing the facility to do imaging projects with their subjects. And so that's a way that we're able to connect with industry through the core research or the core facilities that we've built at UTA, including, by the way, the North Texas Genome Center, which was established 7 or 8 years ago to be one of the leading genome sequencing centers in Texas, if not around the country. And that center continues to grow and do more on the what we call the analysis of sequencing information. So we've invested in our infrastructure, if you will, at the university. And we're also looking at how do we create various programs, for example, a drug development pipeline through our Rise 100 cluster hires, where we hire a group of faculty in a particular area that give us a strong concentration of research programs that are basically tied together, but there's a start to finish type approach where we have individuals who can identify new targets that could be then targeted by novel therapeutics that could then be developed for as a scale up the production of such a molecule that could then be tested in patients and through clinical trials in our region. That capability is something that we're building right now at UTA through some of these different cluster hire programs that we have. I think the other thing is we're working with industry, reaching out to industry to find out what their various needs are. What are some of the problems that they're facing? So, for example, the way I see Imprint engaging with industry would be some of the biotech companies that may have developed a new protein molecule. So at the research level, at the bench level, they're able to produce, a certain amount of that product. But as they begin to scale, they need to develop processes so that they can scale effectively, so that the molecule doesn't aggregate, so it stays soluble, so it stays active. And so we envision that we will be a partner with biotech companies and pharma companies to help solve some of their manufacturing issues that are notoriously going to happen with development of any new therapeutic. And so those are some of the ways in which we're working today and with industry and others in our community. And I think we've paved the way to really be a key leader in really tying the ecosystem together.
That is awesome. That is the ecosystem at work, right?
Yes.
The alignment with the broader community. It shows how universities can help drive growth, not just through research, but through partnerships as well. So that's the way this machine is supposed to work. Paul, did you want to add anything to that before we transition to the next section?
One of the things that I think is really important is that traditionally the U.S. research university was called upon to be almost too much. So I like that concept of a catalyst as opposed to being maybe the engine. People think of the university as an engine for regional growth. I like to think of it more as the catalyst. I think of it in terms of what is the physical capital, like Pegasus Park? What is the intellectual capital? What is the human capital? And what is the financial capital that we need to build regional economies? The university sits at the center of a lot of those things.
Yes, it does.
But the university, I think, gets called on to be too much of the main player in each of those 4 areas of capital. I would rather see the university be able to focus a little bit more and play that catalytic role, but have other people, other institutions, organizations, whatever it is, sectors step up and be the engines so the university could focus more of being the catalyst at the core.
No, I think you speak to something that I think our ecosystem represents, right? It's a function of catalysts, right? And the university, to your point, that's the beautiful thing about what we're doing here is that no one entity has to carry the entire load. Right? No one entity has to solve all the problems. It's a collective pursuit, and that's exciting. Yeah. Jon, did you have anything to add on that?
Yeah. So I think in terms of how the university engages with industry to play that catalyst role, it's really we have to have expertise in specific areas. And so going back to Imprint, the institute that I founded, we want to specialize in certain areas of biomanufacturing, biotech, biomanufacturing. We're not planning to be everything to everyone. And so what that'll do is it'll give us a reputation. Getting back to what Paul was saying, that there's oftentimes the university is looked upon to do everything, right? And in this case, we've realized that if we're going to make a name for ourselves, and industry then will want to engage with us, it's going to be in a specific area where we are the knowledge experts. We are the domain experts in a particular area of biomanufacturing. And then those companies will be able to interact with us and get the proper sort of assistance that they're looking for. And the reason then that they would engage with the university would be because we have that expertise.
Awesome. I love that perspective. So Paul and Jon, as we think about this collaborative ecosystem, we've talked about catalysts, we've talked about a variety of things. I want to look toward the future, where research, entrepreneurship, and workforce all converge. And we've touched on that in bits and pieces here. So as we think about the vision for the future, the convergence of technology, life science, and entrepreneurship continues to redefine what is possible. We just had the IC3 conference, and it was some great debates and panels on that. But what is possible both here in Texas as well as globally? And this goes to both of you, and we'll start with you, Paul. What is your vision for how UTA can continue shaping the future? And how do you see universities, and we just touched on it a bit, evolving to meet the needs of next generation biotech, innovation, and workforce development?
It's a fantastic question because it amalgamates so much of what we have talked about. So when we look at that catalytic role, and we look at those 4 types of capital, and we look at the partnership and the innovation management approach versus the transactional tech transfer approach, when I engage with external stakeholders, I don't go selling them something. I go asking, what do they need? What do they want? What are they looking for? What can't they do? And if they come and say, I want workforce, I don't say, not my job. I say, what are you looking for in terms of workforce? Are you looking for, interns, undergraduates, PhDs, postdocs? Are you looking for people with a particular skill? Are you looking for someone who can just think and you can train them to do the skill? Like, what is it you need? And I'm not saying I need to be the only front door, but yes, if I am the front door they come into, I need to be able to say, here's the person, here's the department you go talk to.
Yes.
And so I can do that for workforce simply because I understand the role workforce plays and I understand how to ask the question. If they come and say they want technology, then we can go down the whole of, are you looking for something that's fully developed? Are you looking for something that you can sponsor and build? Are you looking for something, that is whatever? If they say they're looking for a relationship and they're interested in acquiring a startup, if they're interested in, sponsoring a lab, if they're interested in philanthropic, it's all about how all of those things play, and that's where I'm getting at. The university dabbles in each of those, but maybe it's that, hey, they need workforce who is trained in working in a nanofab, and our nanofab doesn't have that specialty, and there's another nanofab, or I can introduce them to Gabby or you, Eric, or Kathleen, whomever. How do we think like our customer? How do we think like the person with whom we're interacting, the organization we're interacting, and then build that package knowing that it is only one component piece of everything they need?
Yes. Awesome. I love that. I get excited every time I get a chance to talk to you guys, man. UTA and our ecosystem is in good hands, man. And I tell people that every time I have an opportunity to say so. Jon, so I'll let you close with the same question. What is your vision for how UTA can continue shaping the future? And then lastly, how do you see universities evolving to meet the need of next generation biotech and workforce development?
Yeah. So I see UTA playing, this key role in workforce development, but I see it the same way Paul sees it, and that is, again, we can't provide, we can't do everything. So what are the specific needs that a company has? And if we have that programming on campus, then yes, we'll do that. If not, we'll help you find the right university that has that program that could put that programming on. So we share in that viewpoint. I have a vision for UTA. I've been at UTA now for almost 10 years. Mm-hmm. I was brought to UTA and accepted the position at UTA because the idea was, could we elevate UTA's life science research educational programs? And I'm happy to say that, when I took the job, I had the support of the leadership, and I have the support today, continues today, to kind of grow programs. And try to reach that goal that I think I have, and Paul has, and others at the university have, our leadership has. But I envision that UTA, and it really becomes then a model for others in our region and around the country, where we are really the center of innovation, technology commercialization, and really the place where entrepreneurs get their start, especially in the life sciences. I really believe that. That's sort of one of the reasons why I get so excited about the role that I have today, because I've had the experiences through my journey, career journey, that I kind of know what needs to get done. Mm-hmm. And I've been given that opportunity working with people like Paul to actually make it happen. And so imagine a few years from now where UTA has developed, has grown some of their programs in life sciences, has added new programs. We have a cadre of bright students, and we work with Paul's Center, and we're developing these brilliant minds to become the future entrepreneurs, life science entrepreneurs, and they plant their seed in our region. Yeah. And we bring in not just then the scientific know-how, but we train the business know-how, that we train the executive teams, and we become that site. And people from around the country, they still go to Cambridge, they still go to San Francisco, but they say, we got to make a stop in Arlington, in North Texas, because they're doing things in a really special way.
And they've got great barbecue.
Exactly. And a whole bunch of other things, a great entertainment district and all that, right? And so maybe that's the vision I have. Yes. for UTA, for North Texas, and for, again, being a model for other universities on how to do things. I really think the future's bright. And as Paul and I have talked about, and we work very closely on a number of these areas, I really think that this is our moment, right?
Another good friend of ours, Tom Osha at Wexford, he talks about it in terms of a constellation.
Yes, I love that.
And we've got great things happening everywhere here at Pegasus Park, Plano, Mansfield, Fort Worth, you name it. And our combined goal is to help UTA and the city of Arlington be part of that life sciences constellation in North Texas, with a heavy concentration on a particular niche within biomanufacturing.
Gentlemen, I thank you. Thank you both for joining me today. As I mentioned earlier, I've wanted to have this discussion, and I think our audience now will get a deep understanding of why I wanted to have this discussion. We're in good hands, and I'm grateful and proud to share this journey with you. We have a seat at the table, and let's leave the table better than it was when we first got here, and I think we're on the right path. So with that, to our audience, thank you for tuning in to BioNTX Texas Presents Inside Innovation. This podcast is part of BioNTX's broader mission to convene, connect, and catalyze our life sciences and the healthcare innovation ecosystem across North Texas and beyond. If you're a member, sponsor, or supporter of BioNTX Texas, we value your support and contributions to this growing community greatly. If you're interested in membership, sponsorship, or supporting our ecosystem, please scan the QR code on the screen to learn more. Because in North Texas, innovation is not just happening, it is accelerating at a constellation level. So thank you for tuning in. Until next time, be well.